Well, in the battle of the bad, UCF comes out on top, defeating Oklahoma State 17-14. But in a game that, let's be honest, UCF struggled for a majority, but it doesn't matter. They got the win. We're going to talk about it all right now. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Charge On. As always, I am your host, Sean Green, and as always, we are sponsored by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Guys, like I said, the line before the game was minus 14.5 for UCF. They definitely did not cover it, but if you took that money line, I'm sure you made some money tonight, and I hope you did it on FanDuel. They have the best lines, best odds, everything out there. Use FanDuel for NBA, NHL, college football, college basketball. If you want to bet on any of those sports this upcoming season, use FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and a proud sponsor of the Charge On podcast. So it's 10-11. Again, this is semi-early night for us here. Usually we have some very interesting times. It's either very late or very early. So this is like a very interesting, I'll probably go to bed around 12, 1 o'clock. But there was a football game. Tonight was one of those games. It was a football game. And I said, up in the press box, I said in our post-game live show, which appreciate all of you guys that have kind of came back and tuned into our pregame live shows, our postgame live shows. Tonight was obviously our last one for the season, but truly appreciate all you guys that come in and tune in. And if this is new to you and you don't know, well, come back next season. We will be continuing it and hopefully make it that much better. But we were up in the press box and UCF got down 14-0. And then they kind of started to find life in the second half. And we said, this feels like Jack State from week 1, where the team was making a bunch of mistakes. They were playing against an inferior opponent, and they really weren't doing anything to help themselves. The procedural penalties were killing them. And then in the second half, they kind of found just enough plays in the fourth quarter to really give them life and to propel them to a victory. They opened the third quarter up with that long touchdown to Dylan Wade on the tight end wheel route, and it worked to perfection. But for the most part, for a majority of this game, UCF was not good. They looked really bad. It looked like from the start of the season where they were just making a lot of mistakes, specifically on the offensive line, false start, illegal man downfield. That was an offensive line, but it felt like a week 1 game. And that's why we were like, this is where I think the frustration from fans seems like at the time that you're hoping that you're getting better and you're improving the most, with UCF, it's felt like they're taking a decline. They are declining, and they probably peaked at West Virginia. Against West Virginia, they peaked, and now it's kind of gone downhill. And I'm not going to disagree with that. I think there is some truth to that. Like tonight, you played a Oklahoma State team without their head coach, injured, one of the worst teams in college football, 0-9 in their last 9 games, and you were down by 2 touchdowns. Now, why am I about to be positive? Because at the end of the day, they won the game. At the end of the day, they made enough plays to go win. At the end of the day, UCF has won 5 games. That is more games than they won last year. Oh, well, Sean, who are their wins against? Very true. Very true. All 5 of their wins this year have come from teams with A, brand new head coach, coaching staff, and mostly new players, and now B, a team that has fired their head coach a while ago, and a lot of their players are entering the portal, injured, etc. So the teams are flawed. UCF has had 5 wins against majorly flawed teams. Here's where I will push back on that. And I've said, is this a good football team? No. They're probably at below average. You even said Scott Frost. Scott Frost tonight said, we are what we are. And I forgot exactly what he said about the team. But they're a 5-win football team. They're probably going to finish with 5 wins. But you have to give them credit in this sense. Yes, have they beat up on the teams that they are supposed to beat up on? Yes, but they're not. We talked about this. They're not in the bad category. The bad category is teams like UNC, teams like Oklahoma State. Those teams. In West Virginia, to their credit, and this is where I think even UNC has gotten better. West Virginia has gotten better since they played UCF. UCF has gotten worse, but you could also make the argument they played way tougher competition since they played those teams. So, yeah, if West Virginia went and played Texas Tech, I'm sure nobody would be like, wow, they look so much better. No, the same result probably would have happened. So UCF playing a little bit tougher competition has made it seem like UCF is just getting worse. Houston. The ending of the game made it look worse for UCF. But realistically, UCF should have won that game. Then you go back to Kansas. UCF should have won that game. So the frustrating part is you got to be able to find a way to win those games. You win those games right now, you're a 7-win football team. But you're not. You are what your record is. This team is below average. You saw it tonight. I mean, we can kind of go down the list and we could talk about quarterback. Defense in the first half was really bad. And yes, I think defensively, you almost give them a minor pass because they are dealing with so many injuries across the defense. Second half, they allowed 27 yards. I mean, they allowed 1 first down. The defense locked in the second half and absolutely made it impossible for Oklahoma State to move the ball. That was the thing. In the first half, Oklahoma State was moving the ball pretty well. And I'm like, oh, so this is what's going to happen. UCF's offense can't move the ball. Oklahoma State is just going to go back and forth. That's kind of the issue in the first half. I'm like, this is what's going to happen. Then the second half hits. UCF gets the long touchdown right out the bat. The defense kind of locks in. And there was in my part, every time Oklahoma State touched the ball in that second half, there was not one iota of me that was thinking Oklahoma State's going to move the ball. The defense had almost locked in at that point. Their quarterback, Zane Flores, he again just looked confused. So you got to give the defense credit. They came to play in that second half and they gave UCF a chance. Now I'll say this. At the end of the day, I could say a lot about Taven Jackson in this game. Taven was really bad tonight. Again, he was really bad. Not all of it was on him, though. Like, there were times where he's holding on the ball and I'm looking and there's nobody open. And I think it's a give and take. But also there are times that Taven just needs to be better. Both interceptions were awful. The first one, he threw it into triple coverage. It gets knocked up and picked. The second one, he's just throwing it up. The second one, we watched it. He wasn't even looking at the guy. He just threw it up and was thrown up to hope and pray, and it got picked. So I think that's kind of where Taven is struggling. And tonight, look, I mean, it wasn't a good game. It was fine. He was 16 of 25 for 271, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. But again, it saved him that really fourth quarter. Because third quarter, it was still not great. Third quarter, we had the first play. And then the rest of the quarter, it was bad. It was bad. There was not really any thought process of this is going to go well for UCF. It really took the fourth quarter for stuff to really happen and for Taven to kind of calm down and really find some offense. Do I think Taven Jackson is UCF's quarterback after next week? No. Scott Frost even said, Taven is good. Like, Taven can be good. But it's about being consistent. And I don't think Taven has proven his consistency from week to week. And now, yes, has he been dealing with injuries? Absolutely. Does he get a pass for some of that? Yeah, sure. But if you want to be the starting quarterback of UCF moving forward, there does need to be a consistency factor of we know what we're going to kind of get out of this person. If they make a mistake here or there every couple weeks, that's to be expected. But you can't get put in bad situations where you're just giving up the football or you're not making accurate passes. And I think Taven has shown a lot of good, but he's shown a lot of bad. And that's why I do think his time at UCF is going to be, I just don't foresee him being on the roster in spring. I think he'll ultimately enter the portal and go somewhere else, not because I don't think UCF wants him back either. But I think Taven Jackson can play. I think if I'm Taven Jackson, I'm going to the group of 5. Find a school that needs a starting quarterback, and go there. Because I do think he is good. I just think he's not as consistent as he needs to be right now. Guys he was throwing to, though. Wade and Charles, Dylan Wade. Wade and Charles had his best game at UCF by far. 6 catches, 78 yards on 9 targets. Made the big 4th down catch. He was good. That's, again, a guy that UCF needs to make sure they keep, because he's going to come up big. I'm going to fix this while we're make sure this light is... There you go. Fixing it in real time. Dylan Wade was the player of the game. 4 catches, 145 yards, 2 touchdowns on 5 targets. He came up huge. Literally every big catch, for the most part, came from Dylan Wade. And this kind of looked like a game of UCF from the past. Really, it was those 2 guys. And there really wasn't anybody else that really made that much of an impact. So you kind of look at that, and again, it's not every game, but that's something that you kind of take note of tonight. And then Miles Montgomery had one of his best games of the year. 18 carries for 81 yards. And again, the running attack wasn't very good. Taven Jackson did get to run the ball a little bit more than normal, but I think that was one of Miles' best games. And again, the one big issue, credit to Oklahoma State, they had 2 penalties. 2 penalties for 20 yards. UCF had 10 for 72. And this kind of just shows you just how bad. And again, I'm not trying to pick on Oklahoma State. They had 2 penalties. They picked off Taven Jackson twice. And they still lost. Like, that's kind of where it's like, if you think UCF has to play perfect, Oklahoma State has to play perfect to win football games. Because they almost had a flawless game today. Flawless game. If they didn't throw the interception late, I mean, they would have had an almost flawless game. Basically no penalties, moved to the ball for the most part. But in the second half, man, they just couldn't do anything. They couldn't do anything. Defensively, Lewis Carter led the team in total tackles. Cole Kozlowski came up big. Philip Dunham had a big 4th down stop on one of them. Braden Marshall comes away with the pick to really seal the game there at the end. Just all around, great performance by the defense, and really happy with what we saw there. Now, I kind of want to mention, we talked about that for 13 minutes. Obviously, the news today about Rocco Marriott committing to UCF, highest rated quarterback to commit to UCF ever, and Kane Archer decommitting. So I heard about a week ago that it kind of seemed like UCF was going to be getting Rocco Marriott. They were pushing hard for him. Missouri was pushing hard for him, and Rocco's father played for Missouri. So for me, there was a little trepidation of like, are we really going to get the kid that is now getting pushed to go to Missouri? Like, Missouri was going after him hard. Are we going to give up Kane Archer to go get after a kid who is ultra talented? But are we going to give a guy that's been committed to us for a while for a kid that might not even commit to us? Well, he decided to come to UCF. He committed. Now, granted, again, like many of you love to remind me, yes, signing days in a couple weeks. I am not sure. I have not heard if he is signing early or not. I would be under the assumption that he will sign early, just because he's flipped it. This, like, if you weren't going to sign early, the thought process would be, well, then just wait for early signing day, or just regular signing day, because then it gives you a little bit more time. So I assume he will sign in a couple weeks, but who knows? I will say, and I know a lot of fans are going to be upset, and I think a lot of it helps, and that's why I put out a tweet saying, like, I'm intrigued, and this isn't the end of the news. Like, there's some more stuff coming out soon, but I think first of all, don't look up his stats on Max Preps, because those are wrong. Somebody mentioned to me, his stats on Max Preps has like 11 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. He might have 13 interceptions for his entire high school career. The kid's good. He's bigger than Kane, a little bit slower, but he's still got some speed to him. He's a guy I think will fit really well into the Scott Frost offense. And he was at the game tonight. And there's a chance he's your starting quarterback next year. And I don't say that lightly. Dante Carr or Rocco Marriott could very well be your starting quarterback next year. There are some names in the portal that I think, or that will be in the portal that UCF is, I think, going to go after. James Madison might hate us in the next month or so. But I don't think Scott Frost wants to play a true freshman next year. But I think if there is going to be a true freshman, I originally said, my pick was I think Kane Archer was going to be your starting quarterback for UCF next season. Dante Carr has a shot, but Dante Carr is a raw prospect. There's a reason that teams were not really recruiting him to be a quarterback. They're recruiting him to be a tight end. UCF has recruited him to be a quarterback. So I think he's a little bit raw. I think he needs a couple years, and then I think you could see what he could be. Rocco Marriott is a quarterback. Now, I think, and again, Rocco is a top 25 quarterback nationally. On all of the recruiting sites, he is a top 25 quarterback. He's come on late. I think people are going to look at the offers and be like, well, where's the big schools? Again, he's come on late. And Missouri made a hard push for him. But he decided to come to UCF. We'll see if he signs. But there is a chance that he is your starting quarterback next year, depending on who UCF gets in the portal. And even whoever UCF gets in the portal, I want to be very clear. Whoever UCF gets, it's kind of the same thing with Taven Jackson. They signed Taven Jackson basically to be the starter. But at no point did I say Taven Jackson's your starter. No, it was he should be the starter. They're paying him to be the starter. But there's going to be a competition. And I just don't foresee UCF signing a guy that is the clear-cut, well, this guy's going to be the starter. No. I think it's going to be a guy that's probably started, has a lot of experience, and you could almost safely assume he'll be the starter. But then again, you never know. And I think going into next season, I think there are a few things that, not just from this game that we've learned, but from a season. Taven Jackson is not fit for this UCF offense. UCF needs better skill position players. I think they've got a couple. I think Dylan Wade and Wade and Charles are guys you could carry over to next season and be comfortable with moving forward. I think there's some skill position players in this 2026 class that you need to kind of lock in. And we hopefully can talk about it in the next couple weeks, because there's one big fish out there that I think UCF fans will be foaming at the mouth for if he commits. And it will make up for the Javon Boggs loss last year. It will. Because I think this kid is fit more perfect for this offense that we have now. And then, again, transfer portal, I know kind of what UCF is trying to go after. I think fans are going to be happy and excited for it. It's just, can they execute it? And I think knowing right now how many guys you're going to lose running back-wise, you're losing basically all your running backs. I would say, honestly, on a lot of the skill position players, I'd probably let a couple walk if they want to walk. But I think tonight you saw Wade and Charles, Dylan Wade are your guys you want to bring over. Running back, obviously you have a couple young kids in Davion Swint, Stacey Gaze that you have. You need to bring in a couple. And then quarterback, man, you need to reload at the quarterback position. Specifically, though, offensive line. And we'll talk about offensive line in a couple weeks. But that is a position that it's not rocket science. When you watch it, UCF needs to shore up that position. And they need to develop some guys. They need to get better on the line. The defensive line, I think, is going to be fine. The offensive line, they'll need some work. All right, everybody. That's going to do it for this little post-game recap here on Charge On. Please like, subscribe, comment, share. Do all that you do. We greatly appreciate it. And please, as always, we're sponsored by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Guys, if you want to make any bets the rest of this college football year, headed into the playoff, the NBA, they've got a bunch of stuff going on. The play-in tournament's going on right now. The NFL, we're going down to the last 7 or so weeks of the NFL season before playoffs hit. Use FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, the best lines out there. Bet UCF's game next week against BYU, because they will have the best line on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, and a proud sponsor of the Charge On podcast. Guys, let me know what you think. Drop it down in the comments below. Do you think UCF can make it to a bowl game? Can they go on the road and beat BYU? It's possible. It's possible. Not likely, but possible. Let us know down in the comments section below. UCF gets their 5th win of the season beating Oklahoma State 17-14. This has been Charge On, presented by FanDuel. We will see you guys next week.